I think, I mean, for the South African market, maybe a lot of the people who are in the flower business, they have come across Ludwig's roses at some point, or maybe even just a general public who wanted to have like a lovely rose bush for their garden, or like somewhere. So, but for the people who maybe don't know your story, and I think it's also a very like historic story. So maybe just explain a little bit, who is Ludwig's Roses? What are you doing? Where are you based? And like, what is your portfolio right now? Because I think it's not only like real roses. I have seen that you also do lots of other things apart from just fresh roses. So just tell the people a little bit more about your business.
So Ludwig's Roses will be 50 years old next year, and it was founded by my father, who came from East Germany. He knew that he wanted to grow roses, and he found a little plot in Pretoria. He started out with nothing. He was the first one in Pretoria to offer a garden service. So he would go
Wow.
and mow gardens and mow lawns and whatever. And in that time, the money that he made, he started producing roses. So really from humble beginnings. The little office that was his much later was his home and his office. It was nothing more than a 3 by 3 meter little room. That is what he started out with. And today, Ludwig's Roses is the biggest rose producer in South Africa. And we've very much specialized in garden roses and garden or fragrant cut roses, more for the home grower or smaller quantities. And essentially what differentiates us from other businesses is then we went and opened 8 of our own shops countrywide, so that our clients could have this specialist treatment. You know, often you'll walk into the garden center and they can't tell you about a particular plant and so on. People want to know about roses. People love roses. And I've
Yes.
seen it throughout the drought, and now again with lockdown. We've been so blessed to have our doors open for a week. And I've been here in the shop and I'm talking to customers, and most of my conversations bring me and the client to tears, because I know that the time they were at home, they took a lot of hope from the roses in their gardens. You can see the clients coming in now. They've really spent their time thinking about what roses they want and how much these plants really mean to them. And for me, this has been, again, a very humbling experience, and realizing that this is our service to humanity and how important these plants are. When I look at what's changing, I think to myself, and people are, and thank you again to you, to Yes Exclusive Flowers, is I think we're all becoming willing to pay a good price for flowers. You know, many years ago, people were paying R2.50 a stem and thinking that farmers can live off that. We can't live off that. You cannot have 130 people working and live off nothing, you know. So I think people are understanding the value of even one flower in your home. That we don't need masses and masses and masses. We can have them, but we don't have to have that. And that's
with garden roses, we always say less is more, because you see the beauty, you see them opening up lavishly, you have the fragrance, and you don't need to have 100. I mean, 5 or 10, or I don't know how many, like small amount in a vase gives you actually the joy of the day.
That absolutely. I mean, I made sure during this lockdown period, I would have simply one little bloom next to my bed every day, or, you know, as I needed a fresh one, I'd put a fresh one in. But I didn't need masses and masses. And look, I grew up in a household with masses of flowers, you know. So that's been a really, really wonderful, looking and understanding how this is evolving, how the flower trade is evolving, and what we need and what we want. That's
Okay.
Ludwig's roses in a nutshell. So we are rose specialists. Yes, we do a little bit of cut flowers, but our main business is plants. We do our own breeding, and this became more and more important in South Africa when we realized that a lot of the varieties coming in. So we travel the world. We have many long-standing relationships with breeders all over the world, and then we'll select roses that are good for South Africa and we'll test them here. But in the latter years, a lot of these varieties were just not handling the South African climate the way they need to, because we have a much longer summer. So you can't have plants that just flower in spring and then reflower once. They have to continuously flower for 9 months. And a lot of the roses coming just simply weren't doing that. So we've done a lot of our own breeding. We're very happy with what is coming. And of course, we work a lot on what we've moved to now is completely biological pest control, and very happy with that. We're hoping to launch that for the public soon because, again, it's part of, I think, why we are sitting in this lockdown is that we haven't always done the right thing. And I think as an industry, we're hard moving into that, where we're no more chemicals, no more poisons. And that also means that the varieties that we grow need to be that good. They need to be disease resistant from the onset.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's very much interesting, because we also see this with other like garden rose breeders in the farms in the world. They also go with little bugs instead of pesticides, and that also like changed even our import rules. This is quite interesting what we have discovered, because some of the import rules give certain conditions to be fulfilled. And interesting enough, those conditions are based on pesticide treatments. So once we discovered that there's no pesticide treatments available anymore, we had like a long discussion with the Department of Agriculture to explain them what are actually the new trends, and that this is exactly the same fulfillment than if you would actually use pesticides. So like one step after another, I think if something starts also in other areas, in other fields, things have to change and have to go along with these new developments.
Yeah, absolutely. This whole evolution is it's so important, and again, it's the same thing. A lot of people are still coming in for the old varieties, and we keep them. But it's this drive to say, no, please move away from that one. Start looking at the newer varieties. So it's as you say, it's a whole evolution, the whole import, export. But it's good. This is what we've been needing to drive and push a lot harder, a lot faster, and now it's happening.
Can you just show, because I see some of your roses there, and I think still a lot of people have not had a lot of garden roses in their hands like until lockdown. So can you just show, and maybe show some in the camera, and just explain like what is it that you have there?
I will. Let me show you. So this one.
Oh wow! What is this
one? Yes.
Oh wow! Great.
This is a new release, one of my absolute favorites, one of our own breeds. She's called Colette Stella, wonderful as a cut rose, but has all those old English qualities, if you like, highly scented, and and the disease resistance, of course, here is the best. I mean, she stays absolutely clean.
And the size, I mean, the size,
if you put your hand,
unbelievable.
It like really is like huge. Yes, amazing.
Yeah.
In my heart.
Oh, and the fragrance of this rose is what we call real rose. So in roses, we've got every fragrance. We've got spicy and musky and earthy and lemony and citrusy. But this particular one is what we humans still know as rose. That Happy
Which
Mother's
was
Day,
in
by the
Granny's
way.
garden, right? This one. That was in Granny's garden, the fragrance, right?
Then another one. Oh, this rose, I believe, is going to give Free and Loyal a slight run for its money. This is Elise Haywood. You can see here it's a very tall, slender bud.
Yeah.
And it's got a bit of a cold, silvery undertone to it, which is so a very sexy flower. You know, it's got that sexy shape to it.
Okay, we understand.
Here is another promiscuous, sexy type kind of rose. We call this one here, this is Majestic Burgundy. So really that star-shaped, and it's amazing. I mean, I work with a lot of clients, and my personal favorites are the old-fashioned kind of looking blooms, but that's not to say that that's what everyone wants. A lot of my clients still want the perfect star-shaped blooms. And I find it very interesting how it correlates to our personalities. You know, I can read a lot off a person depending on what flower they want.
I mean, we are all different. We like some of us like very romantic dresses, and others more modern dresses. I mean, that is the same exactly with flowers.
Now, this one here, well, we were talking about sexy. We'll continue in the sexy. This is 50 Shades of Grey, very close to your Westminster Abbey. It's got browns and greys and all sorts of weird and wonderful colors in it. And it is, I mean, here it's still quite small as a bud. This bloom also easily will be that size.
Wow.
Another personal favorite and one of our very own, this is Perfumery.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing.
She's beautiful. And the name says it all. She's got an absolute mix of fragrances to the point that it's hard to distinguish. It's melon and citrus and rose and musk and earth and all of it.
Wow, but it suits to the color when you say it's lemon and citrus, and it looks fresh, actually. It looks like when you describe the fragrance, it looks like that. And like when you hold it in camera, it looks almost like it's as big as your head.
Like you look, it's not much smaller. It's really
exactly.
Beautiful. This is still small for Perfumery. Yeah. Really a top rose. And here, what's interesting to talk about too is a lot of, we talk about, my father used to call this a hanging neck. I said, no. This is a romantic neck. This is just very relaxed. I quite like it in a rose bush. You know, that it's often that the roses are sort of looking at you or a little bit down at you. Of course, most cut roses, we still prefer a very strong neck, but it can look wonderful in a vase. I like it. Of course, I did.
What about this red one?
Sorry.
Okay. No. Carry on. We are coming to the red one later.
Ah, yes. I'll show you the red one. This is. I brought it again, Free and Loyal. I was listening to your talk with Aideen. This is White O'Hara. We named Pink O'Hara and White O'Hara. We were the very first to bring them to market before they had their other names, and named it Free and Loyal. So a lot of people don't know that, but this is White O'Hara. Still a
But I
Beautiful
feel very
garden rose.
honored that you listen to our talks. I mean,
Right. We always think we do it for ourselves, you know. It's like to pass the time in lockdown as well.
Yeah.
And to just, but it's amazing that people also listen to it.
Well, it's been fun. This is that very first one again, Colette
Oh,
Stella.
yes.
I mean, she changes quite a bit, but she's just got every quality of heart rose, mom rose. You know, this is
Yes,
what I see.
wonderful.
Very beautiful cup as well. Like it's like intertwining somehow, like very nice.
The petals are actually
Yeah.
how they are. Beautiful.
This one's, she's been in my vase now for this. She's been in my vase for since last week Sunday, so a full 7 days. She's lost her color a little bit, but this is Nomzamo Mbata. Lovely. I mean, this is a brown. Usually, it's sort of brown and peachy, and then goes cream right in the end. But yeah. I've seen a lot of people really enjoying this. We're growing more and more for cut rose, although it's not a typical cut rose. But
I like that you said it's already 7 days in a vase. Like also a lot of people believe that garden roses, they are not lasting long. That's why they don't buy them. I would not mix garden roses as well as other roses together because from my personal perspective, because they open so differently, I would always just have either garden roses or like, let's see, tea hybrids. But tell us a little bit about the average of a vase life of roses and why maybe some of them have longer or shorter vase life.
So a lot of the roses that are highly fragrant, their petals are softer. So one can literally feel it, you know. Although we talk about Free and Loyal being fragrant, she's got fragrance, but still mild fragrance. Now, when I touch this petal, it's a leathery, hard, thick petal, which is obviously a wonderful quality for a cut rose. But here at the tip of the petal, this is where the oil and the alcohol is released for fragrance. And when they're so hard, it's tough for the rose to release that fragrance. Therefore, a lot of the fragrant roses have a softer petal and are not perfect for cut roses, meaning in your garden, fine, but not a rose that can now fly from Kenya to here to in the market, in the fridge, again, drive up and down, wait in a holding zone, then be put into Woolworths, and then only 4 days later you buy it, you know. So those are your softer fragrant roses, like Double Delight and Just Joey would never have been used for cut rose production. Luckily,
but I think like the very good like reason to use garden roses for all events because they give these romantic, lavish feeling that you cannot achieve with another rose than a garden rose.
And they need to be open only for a specific point. They don't need the vase life afterwards. So they only are like must be beautiful for a certain day, and you can prep them to be like to their fullest glory for that special moment, but they don't need like the full vase life. Afterwards.
It's also, of course, one of the big things is, and a lot of people don't understand this, you know, that a lot of people will still come and they want to buy roses that are still tightly budded. We tell them, no, we must cut them at least at this stage, because then they really open up. So that's the big difference these days. But I mean, most of these, when we mark a rose that it's good for cut, we do expect that when you cut it at this stage, that it will last a week in the vase. If
I don't know if you have
put it in the.
No, carry on. Sorry, the line is sometimes a bit delayed. I'm sorry.
Yes, I mean, people must understand that a cut rose like this, you shouldn't go put it in the full sun and never change the water and have had it outside water for a whole day traveling in your car. Sure, then they're not going to last.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
What I wanted to say, I don't know if you also have seen the session, the chat we had with the Italian lady from the flower shop in Milan. She had almost all flowers, roses, peonies, everything, like even iris. She had them almost full open. And it was very interesting. I mean, we as European, we know flower shops in Europe, we know like how different this looks, that you can buy bunches, that you can customize yourself. And here in South Africa, most of the flowers, exactly what you said, clients want them to have very close, and that makes a difference. And then there's a complaint because they never open, because they have been maybe cut too early. That's why they do not open. So
And
maybe we should
look. I see now when customers buy here, we cut off the plant for them, so it's really you walk with us and decide and pick and choose from our little shops and so on, and then we pre-cut some roses. But really, we are putting roses, some of them that are this open, already in the bouquet, because that's really the show. Just
it makes an impression.
It's that impact. Wow, that's beautiful.
Exactly.
And we all want that. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe we should promote this much more, that a lot of more people like it and don't think it's already a gone rose. Because this is what a lot of like end clients explain. They don't want to have an open rose because this is already gone. And we always say this is not gone. This is actually on the way to be its most beautiful.
Yeah. And what I'm seeing a lot more is that all stages are important. I've been putting into I don't want to do it with this rose, but I've been adding into my bouquets this, without any petals, and leaving the hips in, because it's really to show in the bouquet that this is a living thing. We're going from stage bud to right to the end. This is life, and this needs to be in a floral bouquet. And I find it beautiful how people are slowly accepting it. Not everyone, but many are.
But
accepting.
You can't please everyone. This is something that we learned.
and I think it's a natural product. I think it's also different. It's not an IKEA or like something in mass production. It is something that it's in all individual stems have their own beauty, and some are already open, some are not. So I think also the mix of it makes it interesting by the end of the day to have it in a bunch,
And
not to have a uniform look, but to really have a complete different vibrance and texture when you look at that. Can I ask you, because I see the different colors, what is it that sells more? Is it more like the softer tone roses, or more the vibrant colors? What are people preferring more?
I do look at the sales and the trends and what's going on, but it's not cohesive. I mean, iceberg still sells the most because iceberg is iceberg. There's a garden rose, but it's a lot of these peachy roses. They're coming back into trend. Mm-hmm. But there's no cohesive. Our sales don't show that people particularly like bright colors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's the strangest thing. I mean, on one day, people will come in and they will all want very bright yellows and things like that. Then the next day they come in and they all want cream and soft. And so it's almost like there's yeah, I often get the sense in the retail that there's a bigger energy at work.
Okay.
Okay.
You know that, and I don't think that people don't choose their own flower. The flower chooses them. This is something I've experienced over and over and over again. That they'll come in here for something, but they'll leave with something very else because that's what they needed. Look,
Okay.
flowers, I mean, you know it. You work with flowers all the time. Flowers heal people.
Yes. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the relationship that we have with them is far stronger than what we think it is. You know, that or it can be multiple days where people are coming in for the same thing. And I'll be blown away looking at this and going like, wow, what is going on? I didn't Instagram it. I did nothing. This is just a trend.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I find it
Interesting.
like with the shapes. It's not a given that that this antique look is the thing. It's everywhere because we're all different. And I suppose that's what my father always said. You know, we often looked at him and said, "Gosh, do we really have to have 800 different roses available for clients?" And he would say, "Yes, because everyone is different and everyone is coming
Nice.
in."
And he is so right,
He's
actually.
right.
Yeah.
So we keep 800 different roses so that everyone can have
Please. Yeah, please.
whatever they want.
I have another question. Sometimes also, like in the cut flower industry, people ask us, for example, like for David Austin roses, why are they so expensive? And we try to explain, like, we have to pay, or the farm has to pay royalty fees for the bushes. Maybe explain also, do you also grow David Austin roses or others that you may have actually to pay royalty fees, or what is this? And how much affects the price?
It's going to be quite cheeky, but yes, absolutely. We do grow the David Austin roses. Many years ago, we stopped growing David Austin roses in South Africa, or at least at Ludwig's Roses, because we said, look, no, a rose is a rose, and it doesn't matter what it is. But David Austin does charge a higher royalty than most other breeders. Why? Because they're darn good at branding. They've done really a wonderful job at branding. Are their roses better than Cordis roses? No. Are they the only ones with old-fashioned roses? No. But they've put themselves there strategically in the market, and people are willing to pay their royalties. Do I think that's wrong? No, I don't. I think, well done. We should all be charging more for good quality roses.
Yeah, this is what I'm always saying to my florist. You know, when they say there's nobody that will pay for. I think like you have to evaluate for yourself as a client what is worth to pay for yourself. You know, if you want to have a bouquet, let's say, of peonies out of season, you must be prepared that a peony can cost 200 rand a stem. But you can get it, but you have to decide on your own if you're willing to pay or not. Same with roses. If you want to have a very exclusive special rose or an expensive rose, of course you have to pay more than for a normal standard rose, which is maybe a fracture of that. I think it's with like any other product in the world, if it's dresses, if it's cars, if it's I don't know what, flowers are the same. I just believe that particularly in South Africa, we have to get more information out to end client, why and what, and the reason for specific flowers have specific prices. And I think something like what you do, or what we also just like chatting about that, and not only people maybe from our industry will look at this video, maybe also end client, and they will maybe get a better understanding listening what is going on in our industry and why things are actually more expensive. And a lot of people understand when they get a reason for it.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm very often telling people, look, from the day that we started cross-pollinating this rose to the day that it landed in your vase as the first client ever, that's 10 years down the line.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, and then people are always very much surprised.
And I mean, all of this, again, water is not for free anymore. Fertilizer, these biopesticides, they cost, I mean, it's triple the amount than chemicals. So we're doing it because it's the right thing. But I mean, you feel it in your pocket that this is, it's expensive. And again, we pay our people fair salaries. I mean, our staff earn a good salary.
You said you have 160 staff, right? Sorry, you said you have 160 staff members, right?
130, yeah. 130 permanent staff. And, we believe that they must live well, eat well, and not only that, again, I was talking about the energy of the plant and the energy of the rose. If you have staff that are unhappy and they're working with your roses, there's a transferal of energy. You want to have happy people. When our ladies are in production and doing the cuttings and so on, I often go in and say, come, let's sing. Because when they're singing, I know all is good. This is a good energy. Because what we do is still an artisanal craft. I mean, we're hand grafting each and every rose. They're not going into a machine, tuck, 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 and there you go, 100,000 made.
Exactly.
Grafting is it's like plant surgery. This is it's an old art. And
it's an art. I just wanted to say, it's an art.
It is. And this is what we really often, I mean, we're now more and more telling our clients, look, this is how roses are made, so, and with that, the appreciation is growing. And I think people are also understanding how much they need flowers in their lives. Lockdown for flowers was a good thing.
Yes.
I wish we would have lived in an area where roses grown a bit better, because I never get one rose growing in my garden. We have just too rough sea air, so it's unbelievable.
Salty soil.
Very salty. But we have the view. I mean, that is what we have.
But I mean, generally, and I think it's going to be also much more trend to have flowers in the home. Why? Because people necessarily need to stay much longer times now at home, and they want to just make themselves more happy and at least like surround themselves with some happiness and to smile at something and to see something grow and evolve and to just like look at something beautiful. So I do think whether it's in the home, like it's like on your kitchen table, or when you look out your window into your garden, it's just something that gives energy back to you. And I mean, everyone who has ever worked with flowers, they know that there is a certain energy that you can get from flowers, that they make you smile, and that they are just like part of your well-being, So
this was actually, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if you know that we had actually a couple of weeks back initiated a petition that flowers should declare as an essential good to be sold actually during lockdown. Because I'm sorry. Yes, I know, but I don't know if everyone else knows. No, I mean, that is because we strongly believe that people need flowers for their well-being.
Yeah.
That is something beside food and love and flowers is what we need, actually. This is essential in our meaning, even if it's not declared yet or
It's not an essential good.
No.
I mean, we can all live without flowers, but I
Yeah.
think it's just something that makes ourselves much more at ease, particularly in a difficult situation.
Yeah.
Just to look
But
at something pretty.
the question is, can we live without flowers?
No,
I don't think
No.
so.
no,
No.
not me and not her. No, I can't.
But
I
the
can't.
whole of humankind, I mean, we can't live without color. Color is so important to our intrinsic being, if it's food or what we wear and I mean, the more we evolve as a humankind, the more colors are evolving. You know, I mean, there were times where certain colors weren't seen, and we're now seeing more color. I think it's quite amazing. So yes, I hope
You
our
you said something. Sorry, you said something just before we went online that you have also used the time of lockdown for something that you had not the time like before. What is it? What you have done?
Yeah, for Ludwig's roses or for me personally?
I don't know. You can also tell me what you have done for you.
I think, I mean, that's the positive side. Like, despite all the negative things that are happening, that we all could also take like some time for ourselves, with that, which I think a lot of us entrepreneurs never allowed ourselves to take, and also like just couldn't take because there was just no time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can tell me both, please.
I'll tell you both. Okay, so for Ludwig's, it was really, we'd been working on our website for a while, but we realized that we hadn't quite spent enough time on it. So now it's really running, and we've finally put things like free delivery for orders over R1,000, which I think is the right way to go. So my family, we never stopped growing roses. We said, okay, let's take this time. We produced really good, healthy roses, and even here in the nursery here in the Cape, it was really a keep the quality going, work on that. And personally, I also spent a lot of time in my own garden, and I realized, as I was working in the garden, I realized that when I don't water the roses enough or the plants in my garden enough, I usually don't drink enough water. That there's always a correlation between what's going on in me personally and what's going on in my garden. As I was pulling out the weeds, it felt like I was pulling out my personal weeds or doing a bit of decoding, because I think a lot of us have done some decoding, going like, these are old world ideas. Let's chuck those out and let's really move into this new time and embrace what's coming towards us. And I mean, I'm seeing it. There's a big unrest with the politics, which I think is a good thing. We need to all start standing up and saying, no, those ideas don't work for us. And you, government, you work for us, not us for you. And I think a lot of that, it's funny that, you know, when you're working in your garden, your very personal garden can teach you these lessons if you're willing to look at it.
This
It's
is
right.
interesting.
I think it's right, and I think there is this the similarity that we can draw, you know, specifically with like watering plants. And I think we as entrepreneurs, or maybe even you as a like employee, but if you don't recharge your own batteries, you can't give more than you have, you know. So I think, and this is something I think that a lot of us forgot somehow, you know, that we are not machines, that we also need like somehow to draw like energy from. We cannot just only give, but we also like somehow need to sit back like a moment and like, okay, like, and even if it's just, I don't know, half an hour in the morning, or for the one it's reading a book, for the other one it's yoga, for the other one is gardening, for the other one is something completely different, doing sports or whatever. But I think it's just important to also like realize, wow, it's not just the job. It's really like more to it. And I think also like this lockdown has taught us, painfully though, a lot of like lessons, but necessary lessons.
We all have been in such a tremendous hamster wheel before that. I don't want to say that, but we all needed that break actually, in a certain way, as bad as the situation is. But you always say to people, you learn it the hard way, because when everything goes easy, you don't even think that something has to change, because you just carry on because everything goes on. And only when times are difficult, then we have to think about like new things or what to do. So I'm very glad actually that you had the time to experience things in your garden, and I hope you will have the time again in the future.
That you don't forget this this time now. Can I ask you, because I mean we are sort of both. I mean we are like really from Germany. You are like German, like you have a German heritage. From a business point of view, do you think this European background somehow has helped you in where you are, and maybe even your dad, in where your business is at right now? Or would you say like, no, everyone who would come with a passion, maybe even to Africa, or to go even to another place, would have had the same success? Or do you think like the way how he was brought up, and maybe the things that he has experienced in his life, has helped like him to grow the business also to what it is right now?
Absolutely. Look, I think when I look at my father, I think he was born to do this, and that the plants talk to him. I mean, the roses talk to him, and he talks back to them. And I mean, I hear the roses too. Sometimes I think I'm mad, but I'm sure I hear them. And but absolutely, being German was about, when you do a thing, you do it right. You do the right thing. You grow quality roses in quality compost that you make yourself, and you are at work from 8 to 5. We don't do funny discounts. We don't do, we're quite kind of, this is our price and this is what we do. And we're specialists in what we do. And exactly that was expected of me too. I see it too with my big landscape customers. I mean, a big projects. They choose me because I'm reliable. When I say I'm going to be there at 8, I'm there at 8. Yeah. And when I say I'm going to have a job done on this day, I'm going to have it done on that day. Yeah. Even if I have to bring in 20 more staff because there was an issue. And I think this trustworthy reliability, and that is also what people expect from a Ludwig's Roses rose. I mean, our slogan is the rose that grows. That's what people expect from us, is that we grow the best roses to the best of our ability. And that definitely has a lot to do with my German background.
I don't want to say, and I think that, like, I don't want to like cut this in the way that I think there are obviously a lot of people also in this continent even, and I don't want to just say like South Africa, that are very hardworking and like that are like amazing at organizing and scheduling their things. But I think we as Europeans, and I don't only want to put it as Germans, but I think Europeans have like a very distinct way of also tackling maybe problems, or like really to make sure to just go out of a job until it's 110% perfectly done. And I think that is helping like a lot of people.
Sometimes we when we are at events and we work through the night, just that in the next morning everything is ready. And they said, but like we saw you last night, and like when you actually went to bed? And then we said, no, we didn't went to bed. And they say, but that would never happen if you would not be German.
Yeah, if there's like time constraints or stuff like this, I mean, you have to just finish the job no matter what it takes. So,
but I wanted to tell you something. Not only you are talking to flowers or your dad. I have learned this from my granny, from my mom. And sometimes when we are at events and you have this little flowers or little roses, or one that has actually the head chopped or something like that, and a lot of people would actually throw that in the bin. I take them very often and I put them somewhere underneath, and Effie says then, but Mom, and then I said, but they were talking to me. They said, why we cannot go on this wedding? I mean, we are also want to go on this wedding.
Exactly. It's exactly that. So please continue listening. It's the weirdest thing, but when you listen, that's when the magic happens. And I'm not sure that's very...
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if this is not also to our detriment to work like Europeans, because sometimes when you look again, that's all you're doing is working.
Yeah.
So,
but working with beautiful things is also makes it a bit more easier than maybe working with steel or concrete. I believe working with flowers makes the feel of the pain a little bit less.
Well, I think absolutely. Look, I often forget that I'm at work, and I'm quite happy being with the flowers all the time. And I think also our particular industry, we touch a lot of people's lives. I mean, I'm very often shedding tears of happiness and sadness, because this is what people they come here to talk. They come with their stories and they are touched by these flowers, so really what we in German we say wir sind Seelensorger. We work with people's souls, and that is a very beautiful work to be doing.
Oh, I think we cannot have a better final sentence.
No, this is really really true, and I think it opens the heart to the soul. Flowers opens the heart to the soul, and I think it's a beautiful job that you are doing, and I think everyone really who works with flowers can relate to what you just said. And even if they're not working with flowers, if they can see a bush like yours in their garden, they feel exactly what we are talking about. So just tell people, please, at the end, your maybe online shop, a webpage, or where can they get hold of your roses? And maybe you mentioned also the different locations, the 8 locations. So where are those 8 locations where people can get hold of your flowers?
Yeah, so the website is just www.ludwigsroses.co.za. I mean, if you can't remember that, Google Roses South Africa will come up. Our shops, the main farm is still just outside Pretoria, where Ludwig is himself. So if you're lucky, you'll see him and you can still chat to him. Then we've got a shop in Pretoria East, one in Kyalami in Johannesburg, one in Irene, then in Natal in Assegai, close to Hillcrest, and one in George.
Yeah, yes. I already bought roses for a friend there.
And one in Cape Town. And I'm hoping that soon there'll be many more little shops, because one thing lockdown showed me was we need to get the rose to the people.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Amazing.
true.
Great. Thank you so much, Anja, for your time, for showing
Thank
us
you.
your beautiful flowers. And yeah, we just hope that a lot of people are really like their soul is crying for roses at this time, and that they are just coming as well.
Yeah.
So thank
For
you.
all flowers, and thank you so much for what you do for the flower, and for especially for holding the flowers so high. You've really done a lot of work in South Africa in promoting good quality and good prices for flowers, and that's very important.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's much appreciated.
Thank
Thank you
you.
very much.
Thank you.
Tanya.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you.
so much. Much love to your dad.
Exactly.
I had the honor once to meet him, and also to your entire family, because you are also a family business. So stay safe and grow roses.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Well, bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.